Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you to today's presentation. We're about to delve into an incredible story titled Lady Dhurandhar, a spy, a sacrifice, a mission that saved the world. This will be part 4, covering chapters 22 to 27 and bringing our story to a powerful conclusion. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore the remarkable journey of Lady Dhurandhar, her bravery, sacrifices, and the impactful mission that ultimately saved the world. So let's get started. In the beginning, we saw the tragic fall of Everard D'Cruz, a young man of white Portuguese descent in Goa. He loved India deeply but was never truly accepted. His dream to serve his country was shattered when he was falsely accused of murdering his police trainer's family, with planted evidence sealing his fate. Being declared guilty in such a horrifying case, Everard was sentenced to an unimaginable punishment, leaving his life completely shattered. Then, in the next phase, just when it seemed all was lost, a mysterious escape changed everything. He was taken to New Delhi by India's top intelligence officials, where he uncovered the truth about his innocence. They offered him a secret mission, one that would require him to give up his identity entirely. Choosing purpose over despair, Everard transformed into Evelyn D'Cruz, undergoing a total physical and psychological change to become a spy. This was a dangerous world, one that could shape the future of millions. Moving into the third part, Evelyn's journey took her to Wuhan, China, where she met Dr. Adam Costa, a Portuguese scientist involved in a deadly virus project. What started as a calculated trap gradually turned into a genuine emotional connection, making things more complicated. When Adam discovered her true identity, instead of feeling betrayed, he chose to support her. Together, they formed an alliance, risking everything to uncover the truth and complete their mission from within. Now, in this final part, the stakes are at their highest. Evelyn and Adam take the ultimate step, marriage, both as part of their plan and because of their growing love. Using trust, intelligence, and courage, Evelyn gains access to critical data inside the lab, securing vital information about the virus and a potential antidote. As danger closes in, they make a daring escape from China and return to India, where Evelyn finally hands over everything to the authorities. They choose love and a new beginning, leaving espionage behind to start a new life together in Portugal. But the real impact of her sacrifice becomes clear later, when the deadly pandemic spreads worldwide. While nations struggle, India is prepared, thanks to Evelyn's courage and the vital information she secured. A life that was once broken is now reborn through pain and purpose, saving millions of lives. And even though her name may never be known, her heroism changed the course of history. The days following their decision moved quickly yet carried a depth of emotion neither Evelyn nor Adam had anticipated. What began as a strategic necessity was now unfolding into one of the most meaningful moments of their lives. Despite the risks surrounding them, they chose to embrace it fully, not as part of a mission, but as a union they genuinely desired. The ceremony was kept private, away from attention, attended by only a handful of trusted individuals. Yet within that simplicity, it held a profound intensity. Evelyn stood there not just as an agent or a constructed identity, but as a woman who had fought through unimaginable circumstances to reach this moment. She was dressed elegantly, her presence radiating confidence and grace. Meanwhile, Adam stood beside her, proud, certain, and unwavering in his decision to choose her despite everything he had learned. When their eyes met during the ceremony, there was no mission, no past, no deception, only truth and commitment. As they exchanged vows, it was not rehearsed or calculated. It was real, born out of shared pain, trust, and a future they were willing to build together. After the ceremony, as they sat together for a quiet meal, Adam held her hand and softly said, "We did it, Mrs. Costa, now." Evelyn smiled through moist eyes, replying gently, "Only if you promise this isn't just for the mission." Adam looked at her with calm certainty and said, "It never was not for me." In that moment, the last traces of doubt within her dissolved, replaced by a sense of belonging she had never known before. However, even in this emotional high, they remained aware of what lay ahead. The next step was crucial, the moment where everything they had prepared for would be tested. As Adam outlined the plan once again, ensuring every detail was aligned, Evelyn listened carefully, her mind sharp and her emotions controlled. She knew that while this marriage was real, the danger surrounding them was equally real. As the night ended, they stood together, not just as husband and wife, but as partners in a mission that could alter the course of history. The day of the lab gathering arrived, bringing with it a quiet tension that neither of them openly expressed. Both understood the high stakes involved in what they were about to do. Adam had prepared the setting under the guise of a celebratory gathering, while Evelyn maintained her composure, every movement carefully calculated and every expression controlled. She needed to appear as nothing more than a newly married wife accompanying her husband. As they entered the facility, she could feel the weight of her surroundings, restricted access, guarded systems, and the silent watch of surveillance cameras. Yet she walked with confidence, blending seamlessly into the environment. She greeted people, smiled, engaged in casual conversations. Everything looked natural, but her mind was laser-focused on the task ahead. At the right moment, Adam subtly created a distraction by engaging key personnel. He turned toward her briefly and whispered, "Now, this is your window." Evelyn responded with a calm nod and softly replied, "I'll be quick, just keep them busy." Without drawing attention, she moved toward the secured sections, accessing the systems with the credentials Adam had prepared. Her hands remained steady despite the intensity of the moment. Every second felt stretched as she navigated through files, databases, and physical documents. Her goal was to gather critical information, details about the virus structure, its transmission behavior, and ongoing work on countermeasures. She made sure everything was documented meticulously, leaving no trace behind. At one point, she paused briefly, and it hit her. This wasn't just about completing a mission. It was about responsibility, about preventing a potential catastrophe. That realization fueled her renewed focus. She finished her task, then slipped back into the gathering as if nothing had happened. Her expression stayed calm, her demeanor unchanged. Adam noticed her return and gave a subtle glance that conveyed more than words ever could. As the evening went on, they maintained their roles perfectly, leaving the facility without suspicion. Once alone, Adam exhaled deeply and asked, "Tell me you got it." Evelyn looked at him, her eyes steady, and replied, "Everything we needed and more." In that moment, both of them knew that the most critical phase of their mission had been successfully executed. But they also understood that what lay ahead would be just as dangerous, if not more so. That night marked a crucial turning point in our journey. While we had successfully obtained the vital information, we also understood that staying in China any longer would put us at immense risk. As we made our way back home, we began preparing for our immediate exit, carefully following Mr. Rastogi's instructions. We wanted our departure to look natural, justified, and above all, free from suspicion. Adam started the process by citing personal reasons to step away from the project, managing his communication so it wouldn't raise alarms. Meanwhile, Evelyn focused on securing the data, organizing it in a way that could be safely transported and handed over at the right moment. As we packed our belongings, the reality of leaving everything behind in Wuhan sank in. But this time, it wasn't an escape from something. It was a movement toward a future we had chosen together. Before leaving, Evelyn contacted Mr. Rastogi through her secure line, informing him that we had achieved the mission objective. His response was a mix of relief and urgency, instructing us clearly, "Once you leave China, your first stop is Goa. Hand over everything there. After that, you are free." Evelyn responded firmly, "Understood, sir. We'll proceed as planned," with her voice steady and her resolve clear. Our escape from China was tense but controlled, every step cautious, every interaction measured. When we finally boarded the flight, there was a silent understanding between us. We had crossed the most dangerous phase, but weren't entirely out of danger yet. Landing in Goa stirred deep emotions in Evelyn, memories long buried resurfaced. She returned to the land where her story had once taken a dark turn, but now she came back transformed, no longer Everard, no longer just Evelyn, but someone who had fulfilled a purpose far greater than herself. We met Mr. Rastogi at a secure, remote location, where she handed over the data we had gathered. His expression reflected pride and gratitude as he received it. He then congratulated us and handed Evelyn a hefty check worth millions of euros, which she could encash in Portugal. Adam and I declined to accept it, but Mr. Rastogi smiled and said, "This is nothing compared to what you've done for the country, Eve. I'm happy to see you finally settled in your life with the right man." He added, "You've done something history may never record, but this nation will survive because of you." Evelyn simply nodded, her eyes reflecting quiet strength. She understood that her journey, her sacrifices, her transformation, everything had led to this moment. As we left that place together, she looked at me and said, "You are free now to live your life. All the best. Mission Lady Dhurandhar is officially over." We then left that place, and she took me to meet her neighbors, visit her old house, and revisit her school, places filled with happy memories. We spent some beautiful days in Goa, and eventually we flew to Portugal to start our new life as husband and wife. And that's where we are now, mid-2018, ready for the next chapter. On November 17th, 2019, the day arrived much like any other around the globe. But behind the scenes, something much more dangerous was unfolding. In Wuhan, China, what started as whispers quickly turned into alarms as cases of an unknown respiratory illness appeared. What initially seemed like a contained outbreak soon spiraled out of control, revealing a much darker reality. Hospitals filled up rapidly, doctors struggled to understand the pattern, and within weeks, the world was introduced to a new name, COVID-19. Meanwhile in Portugal, Evelyn sat in her apartment, staring at her television with trembling fingers as chaotic images from Wuhan flashed across the screen. Adam stood silently beside her, his face pale and tense. I remember her whispering, "It started," her voice barely audible. Adam nodded, a flicker of guilt crossing his face as he said, This is the same strain, the one we worked on." Evelyn closed her eyes, taking in the enormity of what was happening. Years ago, this had been just a prediction, a suspicion, a mission. Now it was reality. At the same time in India, Mr. Rastogi and his team were already mobilizing. The moment the first confirmed reports appeared, emergency meetings were convened. Files that had once been marked top secret were now opened with urgency. Mr. Rastogi told his team, "We don't have time. We already have the data, thanks to Evelyn. Now we act." The room understood the gravity of the situation. What lay ahead was monumental. Back in Portugal, Evelyn looked at Adam with a mixture of fear, responsibility, and doubt. She asked, "We did the right thing, didn't we?" Adam gently placed his hand over hers and said, "We did what we could, now it's up to the world." But deep down, both of them knew this was just the beginning of something much larger. Within just a few months, COVID-19 spread across continents like wildfire. Borders shut down, flights were canceled, cities went silent, and the world came to a complete standstill. Streets that once buzzed with life now echoed with emptiness. Masks became the new normal, fear replaced routine, and uncertainty became the only constant we could count on. Evelyn watched all of this unfold from Portugal, her heart heavy but strangely composed. She had seen this coming long before the rest of the world. Adam, now distant from his previous work, stayed by her side, supporting her emotionally as they both processed the scale of the catastrophe. One evening, Adam looked at her and said, "It's everywhere now," while scrolling through the rising global case numbers. Evelyn nodded slowly and replied, "And it won't stop easily." Meanwhile, in India, the government imposed one of the strictest lockdowns in the world. Millions stayed indoors, businesses shut down, and the economy took a huge hit. But behind closed doors, something remarkable was happening. Using the data Evelyn had secured years ago, Indian scientists began working tirelessly on developing a vaccine. Laboratories operated around the clock, researchers pushed beyond their limits, and the entire system aligned toward one goal: survival. Mr. Rastogi, at the center of it all, coordinated efforts with remarkable precision. During a high-level briefing, he said, "We are not reacting, we are ahead, and that's our only advantage." He quickly mobilized all virologists and vaccine manufacturers capable of producing enough doses for India's 1.5 billion people. It was an almost impossible task, but he was deeply grateful, thankful in his mind, to Evelyn and Dr. Adam Costa, because without their vital information about the virus and its vaccine formula, this wouldn't have been possible. Typically, vaccine development takes years, but because India had access to the data beforehand, they managed to create their own vaccines, Covaxin and Covishield, in just about 6 to 8 months. Thanks to this rapid development, they managed to control the death toll to less than 10 million, which is less than 1% of the entire population. If Evelyn hadn't secured that crucial information, estimates suggest nearly half of India's population could have been wiped out, and the Indian economy would have regressed by at least 100 years. India also shared these vaccines freely with many poorer countries around the world, effectively helping to save the global community. Back in Portugal, Evelyn sat by her window one quiet night, staring out at the silent city. She whispered, "All those lives." Adam sat beside her, gently placing an arm around her shoulders and said, "You saved millions, Eve, don't forget that." She looked at him with soft yet distant eyes and replied, "No one will ever know." Adam smiled gently and said, "Maybe not, but that doesn't change the truth." And in that silent moment, as the world was battling chaos, Evelyn found a strange sense of peace, knowing that her pain, her transformation, and her sacrifices had truly made a difference. Months passed, and the world slowly adapted to its new reality. Vaccines began rolling out, hope started returning, and nations cautiously stepped toward recovery. India, against all odds, managed to control the damage far better than many had anticipated. Covaxin and Covishield became symbols of resilience, developed in record time, saving millions of lives. Behind this success lay a story no one knew, a story of a boy who was never accepted. A boy who became a victim of a cruel conspiracy, a boy who died in the eyes of the world and was reborn as a woman who changed history. Evelyn stood in her home in Portugal, watching news coverage praising scientists, governments, and global cooperation. Not once was her name mentioned. Not once did anyone know what she had done. Adam walked up behind her, wrapping his arms around her gently. "You okay?" he asked softly. She smiled faintly. "Yes, I think I am." He turned her toward him, looking into her eyes. "You're more than okay, you're extraordinary." She shook her head slightly. "No, I just did what I had to." Adam smiled. "That's what makes you extraordinary." She leaned into him, finding comfort in his presence. Her journey had been painful, brutal, unimaginable, from Everard to Evelyn, from a condemned prisoner to a savior of millions. And yet she carried it all with quiet dignity. No recognition, no applause, just truth. As the sun set outside, casting a golden glow across the room, Evelyn whispered softly, "Maybe some stories aren't meant to be told." Adam kissed her forehead gently, "But they're meant to be lived." And in that moment she realized she didn't need the world to know her story because she had lived it, fully, fiercely, and for the right reasons. Mission Lady Dhurandhar was over, but Evelyn's legacy had just begun. From a life torn apart by injustice, Evelyn's journey has truly come full circle. What started as Everard's tragedy transformed into a story of extraordinary courage, love, and sacrifice. She fulfilled her mission, protected her nation, and chose to build a new life beyond the shadows of her past. Yet her true story remains hidden, known only to a few, and her identity may never be revealed to the world. Some heroes operate in silence, their actions shaping the future without ever seeking recognition. This isn't just a story of heroism. It's a profound journey of discovering who you are, finding your purpose, and showing silent bravery when it's needed most. And even if her name is never remembered, her impact will resonate forever, reminding us that true heroism often lies in unseen acts.